First is after my retirement, I wanted to reconnect with the National Defence Academy. And I was writing a book on the northern borders and military geography of India. And military geography is a subject which is only taught in NDA, nowhere else. So I had to come back to get myself re-educated at NDA and deliver whatever I have understood. The second time I came, means after retirement, I got reappointed as the Chief of Defence Staff, if you all remember. And my first meeting in NDA after that, I got all the 3 service chiefs actually on 21st of October, and we said that one of the mandate given to me as CDS was that to promote jointness and integration and creation of theatized command. So I said no better place than NDA from where we all started. So the 3 chiefs were got and we all came here, later each at the hut of remembrance, and then sat down over here to discuss how to go about creating more jointness and synergy between the 3 services. And this is the 3rd time actually when the Amrit Kal of India, so independence actually, for the 100th year starts, and so does of the academy. So they're all synonymous. And for me it's a matter of great honor actually, because the next year actually it will be the president who will be reviewing this parade. And NDA has lined out for this particular year a number of activities. Yesterday we were witness to some of them, the NDA song which they have released. And I'm sure in this Amrit Kal, this forthcoming, not only this year but the next 25 years, would be a glorious era in the history of not only a nation but also the National Defence Academy. I have nothing more to add, and now I'll be able to take on any questions that should you people have.
Can you please throw light on the status of federalization of command services? It has been advocated by the late CDS So what is the status of its in this case?
We'll talk about theaterization. I'll take a couple of more questions actually. If there is something related to this, then people can ask any more questions, then I can answer once and all. Yeah. Anyone else who wants to talk about theaterization? Okay. So I think one of the mandate, as I said earlier, that for me was to bring about jointness and integration among the 3 services, and also creation of theatrized kind of commands. The end state of this is actually creation of theatrized commands, but the beginning starts from jointness. Jointness, I believe, it's in your cognitive domain. It's kind of intangible. You can't touch it, but it's a kind of a spirit that creates that bonhomie that we all need to work together. Integration is a physical kind of process, unlike jointness, in which we integrate things. We can integrate communication, we can integrate operational planning, we can integrate any other issues, say like HR issues. Say we can have similar kind of ACR, similar kind of terms and conditions of service. Even that ISO bill, Inter-Services Organization Command and Control Bill, which is balanced at the Parliament right now, is part of this integration process. So unlike jointness, which is in your cognitive domain, integration is in the physical domain. So we're working towards it, and a couple of days back you must have heard it that for the first time we will have officers from one service getting posted to the other. That's all part of integration process. Earlier we would have officers only posted in tri-service organizations, like in NDA you'll have Army, Navy, Air Force, but never in the Navy would you have Army officers posted. But we found that a lot of common equipment is there, like we're flying the same kind of helicopters, same kind of air defense missiles. So why cannot we have officers posted in the same units? That will make us understand how the Navy functions, or the people in the Army will understand how the Navy is functioning, and vice versa. So this is one small step, I said, about integration. So these are all in the physical domain. We'll integrate communications of ours, intelligence flow. This all will, jointness is going to lead to integration, and integration ultimately is a stepping stone towards creation of theatre commands. So we're working towards it, and where have we reached, it's not for me to state, it's for the Government of India to tell you whenever we are ready with creation of theatrized commands. But we are right on track on this particular account. This is one more thing that the mandate given to me was to bring about jointness in procurements actually. Till couple of years back, Army, Navy, Air Force would put up their own requirements, which would be integrated by IDS, which is a joint headquarter, and create something known as LTIPP, long-term integrated acquisition plans. Now that was made with a time horizon of 15 years, but they were actually made independently. The Navy would assess the threat independently, so would the Air Force and so would the Army. And at the end of it, whatever the requirement was, that all was fused together to create this LTIPP. I think with this appointment of CDS, we're having a de novo look at this, and we're now going to create an ICDP. So we analyze what kind of threat is there to the nation, and based on that, what kind of military objectives can the military be assigned to, and what kind of missions can be given to the military also. And based on that, what kind of capability should we acquire for, say, crisis, conflict, war, or for disaster management. So it's an integrated kind of a whole in which the priorities will be as per the threat identified and defined, and not as per what the requirement of the Army, Navy and the Air Force was. So this is a fundamental change. The change is in the thought process actually, that we got to do it together. And maybe it will help savings to the exchequer, maybe.
Good morning, sir. I am from Road. There is on China border PLA activity is increasing day by day. What precautionary steps taken by India?
The deployment of PLA on the northern borders is not increasing day by day. It is at that particular level as it was in 1920. They haven't gone back. So there's a challenge actually, and I think every kind of step we are taking, the armed forces, all three actually, to see to it that there is no untoward situation. The idea should be in this whole thing that we should be able to maintain the legitimacy of our claims. This is a small thing which I said, including in my speech. And we should be able to patrol those areas, which we did actually before this crisis happened in 2020. Our aim is not to resolve border issues. Resolving a border issue is a different thing, but right now it's to go back to your claim lines, what we did, maintaining some kind of a status quo. We've been able to get that to all places, less two, Zemchok and Depsang. The negotiations are on. Hopefully that will also come about. We are hopeful of that. Till the time that comes about, there is a need to maintain constant vigil onto the border. By doing that, we also need to see that we don't create unnecessary kind of a crisis onto the border. So these are two fundamental steps under which we are functioning on the borders.
Right. One last question only, please.
So my name is Aman, I'm from ANI. To ask about Manipur situation, how the situation is right now there and challenges before the army.
Manipur situation, you see when this, I'll connect it with the question which you had earlier asked, this gentleman over there. In 2020, before to 2020, there was army, there was Assam Rifles, all deployed in the state of Manipur for counterinsurgency operations, but since the challenges on the northern borders were far more, we were able to withdraw the army, and the situation we thought had normalized. At least the insurgency part, that had normalized. And we were able to pull out the army units, and they had all gone to the northern borders. Unfortunately, this particular situation which is developed into Manipur is nothing to do with counterinsurgency or insurgency. It's primarily a clash between two ethnicities, and it's a law and order kind of a situation which we are helping the state government.